Hi, this is Luis Souza from rawveganpower.com, and I'm very excited to have here today with me Pele Chan from naturallyhealinginc.com. She is a yoga teacher. She has lots of things to share here with us, and she is also a raw vegan with lots of experience, not only with the diet itself, but with the lifestyle and how it can improve your sex life as well. Okay. Hello! Nice to have you here
Hello.
today.
I'm so happy to be here, Louis. Oh my goodness. I come with a big open heart to share and hope that, I'm welcomed with love.
Well, lots of love to you, Taylor. That's for sure, you know. And well, it's so cool to have a guest like you know, because I I can see, even if I don't talk to you, and I'm pretty sure that most people have this impression, you know, even if we see your picture, you know, we see this amazing woman with a hot body and lots of great energy. I'm seeing now your site here, and it's fantastic. And when we talk to you, it's even better. And I know that you've been a raw vegan for a while now. And could you share your experience with, I mean, your story with us? How did that happen in your life?
Well, the biggest change that occurred for me that created that change was divorce. Let's start there. So many people go through this heart-wrenching, dramatic, torturous time if that's how it affects them. And for me, it was very physically draining on me. At the time I went through divorce, I was trying to go into massage school, and while I was in massage school, I was getting sick, constantly getting sick, every day waking up with these sore throats and fevers and headaches, and I had to go to class. And at the time I had a 2-year-old daughter, and she was the light of my life. I had to make sure I had energy to take care of her and energy to play with her, but I didn't. And during that time, my yoga teacher, my massage teacher, actually, her name is Jessica Unmani King, and she has brought all this change into my life because she introduced me to not only yoga and massage, because she then became my yoga teacher and taught me to teach yoga, but she also taught me the raw vegan lifestyle. And it just made so much sense. And she said to me that when I decided to change what I put in my body, then my body would change what it gave back to me. So I did then adapt the raw vegan. At first, I wasn't 100% raw. I was just doing probably maybe 60% raw, and this was maybe the first 3 months. It took me about 3 months to transition to 100%. And when I said 60% raw, I was only eating rice and beans and potatoes and maybe cooked corn as the other 40%. So I did stop dairy. I did stop all dead animals. And oftentimes I hear people say, "Oh, well, I don't eat meat. I just have a little fish." I don't eat dead animals is what the fact should be if you're raw vegan or vegetarian for that matter. Otherwise, you call yourself a pescatarian or something else.
That's
But
right.
nevertheless, and that's one of the reasons I don't even like labels, because really and truly it's about, how you pray for the food, how we digest and utilize, absorb, and eliminate the food. So back, basically during the time I was raw vegan, I then became fruitarian. I noticed
Hmm.
that my food, whenever I had fruits versus vegetables, for me during that time, the fruits really energized me. It really got me very vital. It got me a high. I felt blissful, I should say. My mind and my thoughts were very positive, and I saw everything in a positive way that I actually was able to get what I wanted in life. If I said I wanted this particular car, or if I wanted this particular clothes, or not to be material, but just whatever I decided I wanted, if it was happiness, I would be able to attain that. While in the past, it would be the other. Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, that's too expensive. Oh, the thoughts, they changed. And I found that fruits were easy to digest. They kept me alive during the day. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel like I needed to take a nap. And at night, I slept sound. Now, these were all things that I hadn't experienced for the first 30 years of my life. I'm 42 right now. 30 years ago, when I was 30 is really when this
It's
started to change.
incredible. It's unbelievable
Thank you. Thank
that
you.
you are 42 now.
Thank
You're
you.
so much younger.
I definitely feel young, and the age I was when I was 16, I don't think I felt like this. I think I felt like older when I was 16. My body didn't feel as limber and as loose, and I was athletic, but I wasn't healthy. I was always sick. I had asthma, I had severe allergies, I couldn't see, I had glasses, real thick.
Oh,
Um,
so really?
yes, I had lumps in my breasts removed. I've had 3 lumps removed. I've had, different lymphatic issues where swollen glands under my armpits and my groin, and constant yeast infections, constantly having gastroenteritis, experienced colitis, had tonsillitis, had all the itises, basically acidosis in my whole body. You
I
know,
see.
the inflammation just showed up in all these weak areas. Me, when I played sports and I got injured, I never healed. Those injuries lasted for 32, 33 years. It was around when I was 33 that I noticed all of a sudden that I had no more pain in any of those areas. Everything healed. My joints got stronger. My muscles surrounding the joints were stronger and more flexible. And my blood flow in my body was phenomenal. I never sweat when I was a teenager. Even though I did those sports, it took a lot for me to sweat. And anytime I started to sweat, my heart started to race. And I started to pant. And then it was like crazy. I can't handle it. My head started to throb. So, stamina was very, very poor for me then, while now as an adult, as a raw vegan adult, the stamina is much better. And I know I'm not 100% raw at this time. I still have moments where I pray over my meat. I do occasionally divulge into that. I must admit I can't be 100%. Not that I can't, but I am not at this time. But like I say, I do believe that all my healing and all of my energy comes from the fruits of the earth, and that is our true medicine. And I know that is what I contribute to giving me the health that I have today and the youthfulness. If it's share addiction, I come from Jamaica. When I grew up there, we had meat 3 times a day. And at dinner, we may have 2 or 3 choices of meats, and I would have each. Then we'd have the macaroni and cheese, or the rice, or the potato salads with the lots of mayonnaise, and it was always a very hefty meal. So my systems in my body, especially my digestive system, especially my colon, I was highly constipated. I had lots of issues eliminating, and that was where my biggest problem started. Was when I was probably, I say, 14 or 15, I experienced hemorrhoids at that age, and I consistently had them throughout my teenage years up until my 20s. And that's something that has drastically changed. That never happens again. So another thing I want to say, though, is that back then when I did have movements, not only was the odor so strong, but they were like pebbles, or they were like snakes, little tiny skinny things, pencils. The consistency of our bowel movements reflect our digestion, our health. And when we're not flowing, everything that comes in the body, I believe, should be out within 24 hours. We need to give it time to digest. We need to give it time to absorb, utilize, and then we eliminate. So when we're able to do all that, the body naturally comes back into balance. I found that for me, all I had to do was stay on track with eating these fruits, eating these vegetables, and I had lots of nuts also. I included lots of herbs in my diet. I started to make teas from the spearmint plant or the mint plant. Every so often I do that if I ever needed to get something warm, which I never really drank warm things. No hot chocolates, no coffees when I grew up. I did like hot chocolates actually during childhood, but I loved Pepsi. I was a heavy soda. I mean, I think of it now that who knew that really and truly that was really just creating a lot of acidosis inside of me. And I had experienced lots of rashes like around my chin and my forehead, but I got pimples on my butt of all
Oh,
places. And so, I mean, luckily nobody could see that, but
that's fun.
don't think about it, guys. Let one go. Okay.
And then you started naturally healing. And
Okay. So
immediately,
yeah,
what happened?
during my massage business, which is the first business I got into, I really realized while I was doing massages that I was in pain in my body. So I started teaching the yoga when I learned it, and it relieved pain from my body. And then when I was eating the foods and how that created such healing in my body as well. So I figured the business name, should come to play as naturally healing. And then I realized there's so much on Facebook that I'm always sharing with people just on my status. And there were people who were interested, and then there were people who weren't. You have some people who's, I don't care about that because they're just not there yet. They're really not concerned, and they don't want to hear about your health. They'd rather go and hang out and party. Not that it's, a problem to hang out and party. I'm not judging because I party too. I did the other night. Okay.
Sure.
But the business is really about offering holistic healing. I just, went through a sweet, blissful week with Dr. Robert Morris in Sarasota, and he's a naturopath. I did my detox specialist certification there, and he has just put that final tool on my belt to make my business really worth living. This is something I find very fulfilling because I get back by you feeling better. I don't necessarily need you to just pay me. I give my work away for free quite often. But I really believe that these services that I offer all have to come together to create a whole body. That's really what I did in order to get to the stage that I'm at. And what stage is it that I'm at? I'm pain-free. I sleep sound. I have arm's length. See how long my arm is?
I see. I see. You
Bowel
have a beautiful
movement,
body.
arm's length bowel movements every single morning, and I have pictures to prove it. If you
Oh,
do,
yeah, if you have them there, we'd love to see them. Do you?
I do. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And I have hot sex, which I never used to.
that's the topic of our interview. Let's talk about hot raw sex then.
Oh my goodness.
How did your sex life improve with the raw vegan diet then?
So how did it improve? Let's start where it used to be. I will never blame a man anymore for my pain in the body in the past from having intercourse. I used to have painful intercourse, number one. I used to get cramping sometimes during intercourse and immediately after. Or I've had moments of bleeding after intercourse. Or I've had a series of yeast infections monthly for years, and I would simply go to the pharmacy and pick up some Monistat or some whatever else they have in there. I don't even remember the names now because I haven't used those things in over 10 years. Prior to those 10 years, these times that I was using all these products, they never addressed the true cause. And in my body, I thought the cause was somebody else. I never took responsibility. We
You
can,
blamed the man because he
of
would be doing
course,
something wrong or something like that.
of course. And of course, there have been moments of unprotected sex. So naturally, you're going to think that their bodies fluids are entering mine, and therefore they're giving me something. I mean, it couldn't possibly be me. I didn't do anything. All right, so that's what we have to really look at. our own responsibility in what happens to us. And I mean, first of all, monogamy is the most important criteria. If you're going to have unprotected sex, you should be in a monogamous.
Sure.
And so the second thing is that the diet is so important. The body produces acids, and these acids in our body is actually being eaten by our parasites. Some of our parasites are candida and yeast, basically. And when we have women, or for myself, when I had yeast overgrowth, my diet was highly cooked, highly dairy, highly dead animal, highly pastas, breads, lots of breads. And mind you, I love those foods now, but I don't eat them as much. For me, one little bite, you know, but really it's not something I ever need. I can do without it for months. And I think that's the key, is not to have these foods on a regular basis. If you have a party that you go to once in a while and you need to, you know, do what the people in Rome, and when you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. Okay, but you don't stay there. When you go back home, you find your habits, and you find your regular healthy habits to do every day. There's just so much to say.
Yeah, and well, we were saying that this kind of foods, cooked foods and so on, breads and so on,
Right.
they would
create the acids.
produce acids in the body, and then those fluids wouldn't be so
Right.
so appealing, right?
Yes. So we're not feeding the parasites anymore when we stop eating those foods, so that they can't survive in the body. There's a certain amount of parasites, apparently, according to Dr. Morse, that we all need as human beings to stay healthy. We actually have these things living in us. I mean, you know, we don't want to think about it, but they are what's cleaning out some of our acids, and they're actually what's, and then they overgrow, and then they become an issue. Then they become a problem. So
And then they make
they make their own poop.
no, I mean one's sex life would be
Yes.
jeopardized.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So going back to that whole topic is, when we are able to clear out the foods and those overgrowth of bacteria, candida, yeast, when that goes down, your body's natural ability to create lubrication, number one. Having dry sex was another one of my issues. Naturally, there was no lubrication from me. Condoms would dry me out more. Spermicide condoms, even more. Lubricated spermicide condoms, even more. And even if they weren't spermicide, but they were lubricated, those would be, you know, I'm just saying, those things don't help anyone. I mean, yes, to protect you from getting pregnant, maybe, which is so important. But there are lots of ways to do that. Celibacy is one.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So then also the other
Celibacy
thing that we
is
do,
one for
right?
sure.
Yeah. Also the other thing we do is we tend to use lubricants like KY jelly or olive oil for some, coconut oil for others. I no longer use lubricants. Those products actually create an imbalance. Why would you add something to your body when your body can naturally produce it? And it can get there. I know this now. I didn't think so 10 years ago, but prior to that, my body was so dry, but I am not that way now. And people say, oh, because you're in your 40s, you get better with sex. I don't agree. I know a lot of women in their 40s who are suffering in sex, and not feeling well, not having intercourse, having severe fibroids, uterus issues, and you know they're not well, and they're all trying to figure out what they can take, what they can use to have a better sex. And I'm hearing stories, so that's not a valid excuse. It is about the way we treat our body and what we eat.
One interesting thing about we are talking now is that I remember the first time I heard about yoga, and even now the raw vegan diet and so on. These things that aren't usual for most people, because most people are used to drink a lot of alcohol, eat with no rules, and eat everything, and they are always talking about sex, right? And when we speak about yoga and other alternative ways of living and doing things in healthier ways, they they don't associate with sex, right? They think that this would make them have less sex, but the truth is quite the opposite, right? Because if you have a healthier body, you are more able to have sex and enjoy your experience with that, right?
Yes.
And
Completely.
yoga is fantastic, right, for this too, right?
Oh my God. I could tell you some positions. But
Yeah, I'm imagining. I'm
okay, let's go
imagining.
there. Okay, so we have the missionary style, and I mean,
Yes.
who can't do that, right? You don't have
Yeah,
to be
I
very
can do that.
flexible
Yeah.
to lay on your back. Either the guy's on his back or the woman's on her back. Anybody
Right.
can do that, all right? So now, after a while, that gets a little boring.
Oh yes.
So we want to create different positions. We want to be open-minded to give our spouse something extra, something to look forward to, something different once in a while, surprise them, learn something new. Well, what does yoga do? Yoga, first of all, it teaches you how to breathe so that you have more stamina, so that you last longer in bed, so you don't complain about your headache, so you can actually breathe through whatever it is you're doing at that moment and enjoy it. That's the first wonderful gift that yoga brings to sex. And of course, it brings flexibility for both men and women. I've seen changes. I've heard, let me see, I've heard changes from men about how their love lives have improved. And women have also experienced the same, that their husbands are thanking me. I mean, opening the hips for the women not only helps sex, but also for childbirth. I know that when I was able to get into splits at 34 years old, and prior to that not being able to get into the split, um, and then taking the split into bed, that was an amazing experience. Who knew that was possible?
Yeah. You were saying that yoga would be good for sex and the flexibility that you get from that. It's fantastic. And I remember the Gisele Bündchen. She's a top model, Brazilian top model, and I'm sure that you heard about her. And she had two babies now, and both of them were. She had the child's birth at her home, and I think it was inside water. It was
Wow,
fantastic, and thanks to yoga that she was doing.
that is amazing. I look forward to that. There's going to be one more popping out of this body. Someday, you mark my words.
You see, this is cool. This is fantastic. If you are watching this interview, you see this girl here. Well, she's a girl, 42 years old girl, teenager, I would say, and she knows everything about sex, and she would be willing to have another baby. So maybe, maybe, maybe you
Yes,
want
yes, I'm
to,
single. You
to
are
take it.
right. Oh,
You
thank you
see,
for
she's single. You see, if I wasn't married, I would give it a try, because
that.
you see,
You're handsome, Louis. I appreciate that.
well, one other curiosity here, Pele.
Yeah.
It's your name, No, it's not your name. Your name is Rosemary, right?
Correct.
Chen.
Yes.
But your kid name is Pele. And
Right.
we here in Brazil have a soccer player famous all over the world. that has this name. Then I would think, well, is this something? It's just a coincidence, or your name is
Well,
Pele because of him?
well, there is a little story behind it. Mind you, I come from Jamaica. I've followed Pele as a soccer player, growing up my whole entire life. So I know him very, very fondly. Loved this guy. Remembered all his kickovers, his back kickovers, But one thing he did have was a volcanic kick, and that's why Pele is his nickname. His real name is Edson. So one,
That's right. That's right. His real
right,
name is not Pele. That's
right. So what happened for me about 5 or 6 years ago, a sweet friend of mine who's now passed on from breast cancer, she invited me to her moon circle. Her name is oh my goodness, Matima. Oh my goodness, she's such a good friend, and I completely forgot that's her yoga name. All right, it'll come back to me in a second.
Don't
Um,
worry.
But she invited me to this moon circle, and there were goddess cards that we all had to choose from. And I chose the goddess Pele card. And when I read the character traits that followed or were supposed to describe who the goddess Pele was, I mean, I felt like I was reading about myself. I mean, there were all kinds of things in there, even negative things like jealous and envious at times, but we would also be one to clear away that does not serve. So volcanic goddess Pele is a Hawaiian volcanic goddess
Oh,
and
really?
comes from a volcanic mountain. That's where the name is from. So of course, when you have volcanoes, that hot lava comes and it clears out the mountainside. But in fact, when it's all dried up, that comes back to life and all new growth starts. So I'm here to detox all my people. I'm here to take away what does not serve them and give them new life.
That's beautiful to hear. It's so nice, this story. But tell me something. Is Edson Arantes do Nascimento called Pelé because of the same goddess?
Say that again?
I mean, is the soccer player called
Yes.
Pelé because
Yes.
of the same? Oh, I
Exactly,
didn't know
because he
that.
had a volcanic kick.
Yes, now I see, but I didn't know this. I
I
didn't know.
know. I didn't realize it too until I learned my name.
And I guess most Brazilians don't know this.
Correct.
We call him Pelé, and okay, it's fine, but we don't know the origin of this the kid name.
Right. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you for letting me know why our best soccer player has this name, this kid name.
I'm glad I could give you something new today.
You gave me so much today, and everything cool and new and fresh, and I love to hear about your experience. And I really admire your work and how you are spreading the naturally healing ideas and therapies and so on. And I hope you keep doing it because it's fantastic.
And I want to
You
say,
are an inspiration not only for me, but I'm sure for thousands of people. And by the way, your group on Facebook has almost 11,000 members. It's so cool. It's fantastic.
I've been very fortunate. And I want to say, too, that I just remembered her name. I want to say it because it's not right. Monique Mahitma Gerzon.
Oh, you remembered now. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I just want to send some love to her and her family if they ever see this.
Thank you so much. Should I say Pelé or Pele?
Well, I pronounce it Pele,
Pele.
like a French way, I guess, because it's like saying Pele, but it's Pele, Pele.
Pele. Okay, Pele. Okay.
Everybody says it different, and I don't judge. As long as you're talking to me.
Yes, okay. And what about your surname? Because your surname seems to be Chinese or
It
something like that.
is. Yes, 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 yes. I have, let me see. My dad is Chinese. He is actually, I won't even, he was born on the banana boat on the way to Jamaica from China. He's the last of 10 kids, and he's only 5'4", and I'm 5'11". I think that was the mailman.
And your mom is from Jamaica, right?
Yes, she was born in Jamaica, and she is mixed. She's Indian and African, mixed.
Oh, you are a fantastic mix.
Yeah,
You are.
I'm a
You
mutt.
remember. You remember me. Other top model Naomi.
Oh yeah,
Naomi
Campbell.
Campbell. That's right, Campbell. I think she has. I don't know if it's her mother or her father who is Chinese as well, right?
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's
Didn't even-
a similar story, but she is in English, I think.
Right. Yes.
Very beautiful. The two of you are beautiful, very gorgeous, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I wasn't married, I would pick a flight now and
Oh
go to
my
Florida. To Florida,
Yeah,
right?
my ex did that to me. He picked a lot of fights. Just
Well, guys,
thank God for those fights. I'm free at last. Yes.
if you are watching me now, go there, take a flight, go to Florida. What's the city? I don't know.
I'm in where I am.
Yeah,
I'm in Sunrise, but I basically South
Sunrise.
Florida, Broward and Dade and Palm Beach
You
counties.
see, you look for her in South Florida and you find her. She will be shining,
Oh,
Pele.
that's what
Like,
yeah, you
and
have
uh,
me.
and she has something fantastic to offer you. Special mixture of deep Swedish, Thai, Sui, Thai, Kihara, Shiatsu, Yoga massage, and infant massage. Also a teacher of Budokon and forest-style hybrid yoga sessions in the privacy of your home, office, or hotel in the South Florida areas. You see? She's also a detox specialist. You see? Lots of benefits you can get from any interaction with her. And perhaps if you are lucky, maybe you can go deeper in other areas too, as she explained it today. You will learn a lot. You will learn a lot. Well, thank you so much, Phil. It was a pleasure to meet you today, and
It was
it
great
was a
being.
lot of fun, and hope we can do it more often.
Oh yes, whenever you're ready, you let me know. I have lots to share.
Fantastic, I loved it. And I'm sure you are loving too. Well, my boys and girls, go now to naturallyhealinginc.com. You will find the link here somewhere in this page where you are watching the video, okay? Thank you so much, Pele. See you later. Bye bye.
Bye.
Have a blast here.